Welcome everyone to the bi-weekly ZKsync proposal review call. As you see, we have a very full agenda today with a lot of proposal updates, which is really exciting. This includes one new proposal on Onchain and 2 new proposal drafts on the forum. We have the proposal authors from both of those proposal drafts on the call with us today, who will give a presentation, a brief presentation, and answer any questions that folks may have on those proposals at the moment. And we also have Ben from the ZKsync Foundation joining us today. Marco was unfortunately unable to make it today, but Ben is here to say hi and say a few words about the foundation proposal pipeline update that was posted a few weeks ago, as well as to answer any questions on the update itself or any of the 4 proposals that are now live on the forum and on chain that are mentioned in that update as well. So to kick us off, I'll actually pass the mic right over to Ben, and Ben can say a few words.
Yeah, thanks, Shelby, and also Rafa and Alicia. And great to meet everyone. I think there are a couple of familiar faces in the call. Some of whom I've already met in person. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ben, and I'm responsible for the deals work stream in the foundation, which includes a wide variety of things, including sourcing, negotiating, and closing new opportunities with partners that ultimately help the growth of the ecosystem. I think the proposal update that you see here on the screen was posted by Marco, and he's normally joining the calls, but as Shelby said, he had a last-minute commitment, so I'm filling in for him. I'm hoping I can answer all the questions that you may have. So maybe just to give a quick sort of summary of the pipeline update. So this was, I think, posted by Marco 2 weeks ago, and it kind of broadly includes updates on the 3 core areas of focus for the foundation. Especially within the context of governance. So the first one, is to really push for a resilient and sustainable protocol development via decentralizing the governance bodies. And to that effect, we posted the ZARP, the ZKsync audit review program on the forum. And then the second objective is really to accelerate ecosystem growth, and I would say that's really our bread and butter. That's what we do as the day-to-day at the foundation. We we negotiate large deals. We in some cases enter into token swaps with ecosystem partners, and we also as of late have been doing investments that are all in alignment with the ecosystem objectives and OKRs. And then the third objective is tokenomics and governance innovation. And then on the tokenomics piece, I think there have been two proposals, a little bit more technical, one on the burn functionality and the other one on the staking. And so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Shelby. In the meantime, since this update has been posted, I think 4 new proposals have gone live on the forum, out of which one, I think the community activation program, is now on chain since yesterday. And you might be asking probably, what's our role in these proposals, and what is the foundation actually doing? So, broadly speaking, our role is to support in the project management and also in the development, and to sort of steward these proposals forward. And then, I think in the example of the community activation program and the Prividium prize program, our role is really to be the program administrator, and we can go into what that means and why. But yeah, I guess that's maybe just kind of to preface the agenda. And as I said, I'm filling in for Marco, so I'll do my best to answer all the questions you may have. I might not have all the context, but if there's a question I cannot answer, happy to take note of it, and then we can circle back and answer in the thread where Marco posted.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Ben, for that brief overview again of the pipeline. And then, all 4 proposals that you had mentioned, the 2 under ecosystem growth and the 2 under the tokenomics workstream are on the forum /Onchain at the moment. The 1 is Onchain. So just wanted to provide an opportunity for Ben to say hi, and also for any delegates to ask questions about the work, the foundation proposal pipeline update directly. I guess so if anybody has any general questions for the update itself, this would be a good time to ask Ben. We will be covering each of these proposals individually throughout the call. Like, we'll go through them as we go through the agenda. So if you have any specific questions about any of the proposals specifically, we can also talk about them then. But does anybody have any questions that they wanted to ask Ben right now? Okay, awesome, great. Well, thank you, Ben, for being here, and also for the overview. I know the foundation's always happy to talk and answer any questions from delegates, either on the forum or also directly if there's any direct questions that folks have. Then we will move on then to the proposal updates. We're actually going to go a little bit out of order because one of our presenters needs to present in the beginning of the call. So we will actually now move on to the token burn, the zip for the token burn mechanism. So I will pass the mic over to Alex from Scopelift, who is the author of this proposal, to give a quick presentation before we move on to the on-chain updates and some of the other proposal forum updates as well. Alex?
Hi. Cool. So this proposal is basically an upgrade to the existing ZK token that adds a couple functions. One, there's a new burn function that allows any address to burn their tokens, which kind of unlocks the use case of burning protocol fees or whatever in the future. And we also added a function to enforce the max supply. So now there can't be more tokens minted beyond 21 billion ZK. And we also renamed the existing burn function. So there's already a burn function on the token, but it only allows an address to burn tokens if they have the burner role. Currently, no one has the burner role, and that role can only be assigned via governance. So we renamed that function so it's just clear there's a difference between that function and the burn function. And those are the main technical changes between in this proposal. Shelby?
One comment that I would just add is this in combination with the staking proposal basically opens up the 2 paths for how token supply might be managed in the future. So you have burn, which basically returns makes tokens unminted, right? Like they go back to the main contract, they disappear from the circulating supply, they're removed from the circulating supply. You have this staking, which is rewards for protocol security and other types of utilities in the protocol. So you can think about these as like the two of the first pathways for how the token is allocated, for supply management. Now, the other thing that's kind of cool about the burn function is what we had the 21 billion, which is the total supply. So it creates kind of this as a master cap minter. You can think about it that way. And it's also readable. So people like Tally or like CoinMarketCap can now go to the contract and just read 21 billion. So just some context there in terms of how this all plays together into like a broader the broader vision of the ZK as the protocol token.
Does anybody have any questions in regards to this protocol upgrade? I think a lot of folks maybe are familiar with a burn function, like a classic burn function. And this one, as Alex mentioned, is different. It's actually more like an unmint function rather than a burn function in our case. So yeah, also totally fair if folks, have other questions about that or yeah, if anything's unclear there. And then yeah, how it kind of fits into the bigger picture as Rafa was just previewing as well. Yeah, any questions at all in regards to this? No? Okay, great. Well then, thank you, Alex, for joining and for all of your work preparing all of the contracts for this upgrade. Excited to see this one go through. We can now move on to my screen is.
I think you're on mute,
You're
Shelby.
muted.
Sorry, folks. My screen was frozen for a sec, so I just had to stop sharing, and I'll hopefully you can see my screen here now. But yeah, thank you, Alex, for presenting that new zip that was posted on the forum recently. We will now move on to our kind of regular order of events that you see on the agenda. So moving on to on-chain updates, really quickly, TPP-7, the ZKsync Guardians funding proposal officially passed and was executed, just including this update because it wasn't officially passed and executed on the last call. The other proposal that we have on chain at the moment is now TPP-8, the ZKsync Community Activation Pilot Program. This was one of the proposals that Ben had mentioned from the foundation proposal pipeline. We've talked about it on the last two calls, I actually think, the last two proposal review calls. So I don't know if we need to spend a lot of time talking about this one, or if anybody had any specific questions in regards to this proposal. But just very quickly, there's this community activation pilot program has kind of two key parts. It allocates 21 million ZK over the next 12 months to fund part one, which is existing community initiatives, and part two, an RFP pool program essentially run by the ZKsync Foundation. They'll be posting RFPs over the coming few months for specific community activation initiative that they want to see happen. Folks can apply to be the vendor or service provider for that RFP to make that initiative come to life, and the foundation will select a provider for each of the RFPs that are posted. So yeah, that's just a quick overview of what that program will be. Anybody have any specific questions on this one, either for Ben or something we can, yeah, also Steve, I don't think Steven's on the call, but I know he's been on past calls too, if anybody any specific questions for him as well. Okay, easy. Then voting for this one starts on September 16th, Tuesday, September 16th at, it's like 3:30 p.m. CET, but it's 1:30 p.m. UTC. So great. Then moving on to some other forum drafts that are currently live right now. ZIP 12 is still on the forum. The call data is still being finalized here, and some testnet bugs being smoothed out. Alicia, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add, or maybe an update on timeline or expected timeline to be submitted on chain.
Yeah, just optimistically by the end of the week.
Great. Okay. Any questions on ZIP 12 or the V29 interop upgrade? No. Okay, great. Yeah, we've talked about this one for quite a few calls now too. Okay, then moving on to some other proposal drafts that we talked about in the last call. The ZKsync Prividium Prize program is still on the forum, and I believe it's meant to go on chain sometime soon, in the coming days, possibly. Still to be confirmed, I think. Ben, correct me if you know anything else. But yeah.
No, just saying yes, correct.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so the ZKsync Prividium Prize program is again a prize program that will reward the first 10 Prividium ZKsync chains live on mainnet with 10 million ZK. This is, yeah, we've talked about this one a few times before as well. I don't know if there's any specific questions on this one. Otherwise, yeah, just expect it to be on chain within the next few days or early next week. All right, great. Then the next proposal draft that we have on the forum that was discussed in last week's call is the, here we go, funding research for a DAO liveness security and decentralized dashboard for ZKNation, stable labs dashboard that Ralph presented on last week's call. I know since then, I don't know if Ralph's on the call, but I do know he had posted, since last week's call, he had posted a budget breakdown, which was new. So if you folks haven't checked that out, feel free to go check that out. I don't know of any like status updates on this one or like like next step plans for this one, but just wanted to highlight it and point out this new post that was added a day ago. Great. Okay, then the next draft that we have to discuss today is also another new proposal draft, new TPP draft from the Tally team. This is the ZKnomics token staking program. If you remember from earlier this year, or earlier this spring, Tally was also posting and chatting on the forum about doing some sort of Tally staking program. Now, here it is. And we have Cliff here today, and I believe Ralph will also join from the Tally team, if he's not already on the call at some point as well, to give a presentation of the ZKnomics token staking program and answer any questions folks may have at the moment. So I'll pass the mic over to Cliff.
Thanks, Shelby. Very nice to meet everyone here. So just to run everyone through a TLDR of the proposal. So the ZKnomics token staking proposal essentially introduces a 6-month pilot program that trials token staking infrastructure in preparation for decentralized sequencing. To begin, it introduces governance activity eligibility. So a lot of the focus for this pilot is on governance activity. And we are proposing for 37.5 million tokens, which is approximately 1.9 million USD allocated across 2 progressive seasons to ensure that the interface and corresponding contracts are working and well secured prior to deploying more extensive contracts coupled to the underlying protocol. So in the first 2 seasons, staking reward eligibility will require participants to delegate their voting power to active governance members. So the requirement, again, is on participants to delegate their voting power to active governance members, which creates a model that increases active voting power throughout the pilot, with an aim to grow towards roughly 2 billion ZK active voting power. I believe today it stands at approximately 1 billion. So we're proposing to have staking use of up to 10%. And this pilot will essentially, again, pave the way to what we believe is critical infrastructure for eventual decentralized sequencing. And it lays the foundation for broader ZKnomics vision, where protocol utility actually drives token value. So unlike traditional staking programs that we see in a lot of other DeFi ecosystems, this focuses purely on which actually focuses purely on lockups in exchange for yield. ZK's approach here strategically aligns token holder incentives with protocol security, initially via governance activity, right? So this is going to be a phased approach, and we are starting with governance activity. And down the line, we believe that it prepares the ecosystem to be able to adopt new utility that could be anything from sequencer revenue sharing to protocol owned liquidity, cross-chain coordination, and whatever other interesting areas that the DAO or would like to explore as ZKsync fully transitions to a fully decentralized revenue generating protocol economy. So again, just to go through the tacticals, we are proposing to run a 6-month pilot staking program funded with 37.5 million ZK tokens in 2 progressive seasons. And the core focus here is on governance activity, which down the line would be expanded to like other use cases. So yeah, that's a rundown. We'd love to hear any feedback or answer any questions.
Great. Any questions? Ivy.
Well, unless Rafa wants to go first.
So
No, go ahead.
Hi, Clifton. Hi, everyone. I had a question, Clifton, on the targets you were setting on active VP engaging. Just wondering, like, what are the scenarios, right, you're envisioning to reach those targets? If I'm not mistaken, it's like 200 mil on the first season and more on the second one. But just thinking on your thought process behind setting the targets, right?
I can probably take that, Cliff, because I know you messaged me about it, and I was a bit adamant about it. So I think the main thing is we want to make sure that the pilot program is pulling in participants from the broader ecosystem. And we set the target at basically like 50% of staking. We want it to come from net new participants in the ecosystem. This is a shot in the dark, honestly. We've never done this. So we're gonna see how far we get. And but we do want to be ambitious. And I think that, when Cliff was when I was talking to the Tally team about this, a big thing that came up is like, we should, if it's just the same people like participating in the staking program, I think that's potentially, it means we need to rethink kind of what the outreach and what the dynamic process looks like for getting the voice out in the distribution. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but a bit of shot in the dark, but still with a significant amount of ambition. So basically 50% of the cap of the staking program. One thing to note, and one thing that most people don't understand, is that you can't actually stake tokens if they're locked. So let's say you have like an investor that has like a 4-year vest or whatnot. They can't actually like stake like locked tokens because they're locked, because they can't move. So the staking in this initial phase, some of it may come from unlocked tokens from the recent months, but what I would like to see is a re-engagement from folks who may have like participated initially from this year.
No, yeah, that's fair answers the question. I guess like the idea is to have, the 2 out of 5s to become 5/5. So starting at that point.
Oh, you mean for the activity threshold?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the activity threshold, 1 second. So for the activity thresholds, something that's quite interesting is we've actually been monitoring the data on the governance dashboard. So one of the things that's been coming through is kind of like, what does consistent attention look like? Surprisingly, consistent, there's fully engaged, like someone who's tracking every proposal. And then there's people who are like somewhat engaged. And I think the 2 out of 5 is trying to capture the somewhat engaged. If you're not voting in the last 5 votes, I think that it's fair to say you're disengaged at that point.
Yep, that's better. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, but again, all of this analytics, like one of the requests that I had from Tally when they posted this was we really need understanding the analytics behind here. This is the first time that we're doing it. That's why the pilot. And when people were like, oh, why didn't we deploy all of staking all at once? Well, there's one answer: the decentralized sequencer isn't connected. But even if it was ready, I still don't we still need a testing period for figuring out what the right eligibility and the yield criteria looks like. And I think bypassing that, I think we should do this intentionally. And I think that's like a big part of the culture that we have, which is do the tech right, and experiment towards getting it right.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to hear from the delegates on the call here. I know some of the feedback we've seen from other parts of the community, they were expecting, I guess, a more traditional validator staking kind of program to be the launch program. And the pilot program that's outlined in this proposal is a little bit different, and it has the governance aspect to it to delegate in order to be able to participate in the staking program and all that stuff. I guess were there any surprises or I guess kind of immediate reactions from folks when they saw the Tally staking program? I know a lot of folks they know Tally and Tally staking, or they've seen it deployed in other ecosystems, but curious if there were any reactions, surprises, or if anybody was I guess surprised to see this as the pilot program.
So I guess in my end, it's not like there's no right or wrong. I guess it's just a matter of design, right, and what you're considering into the program. We dropped a comment I know Clifton and the Tally team had this same conversation in Arbitrum, but also different approaches to the same. Guessing what this program is leveraging or super leveraging is on-chain voting, right? And in the other programs, there are some other governance components to it, which are more subjective or debatable, like foreign contributions or this or that, or things that you can build into the program. So I guess it's just a matter of design and focusing on getting VP rolling into votings, which again, it's fair, but it's just a design choice. In many other DAOs, this ended up in somewhat of a bigger discussion, right? And what is governance? How do delegates contribute other than voting? Is voting enough? This whole that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the conversation. But again, Clifton answered in the comments as well, why of the design. So that's very awesome.
Awesome, great. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Any other questions from folks at this point? Concerns? Things they're excited about? Great. I guess one point, Cliff, I can't remember if you touched on this specifically or how much you touched on, but one of the kind of key aspects of the staking pilot as well is that it's forward compatible with whatever kind of future staking program there would be. Could you maybe say, or if you already touched on it, but could you just touch on it maybe just one more time, just so folks kind of know what that process would look like?
Yeah, 100%. So again, this 6-month pilot is going to be focused on governance activity, but down the line, there are plans to decentralize the sequencer. So what we believe is that trialing this framework would enable token holders to easily engage in any additional token utility opportunities, like participating in DeFi with the ZK token or positioning ZK token as like a multi-utility asset with the broader ecosystem. So ZKnomics in itself, we believe, will be rolled out in stages, each dependent on the successful delivery of technical infrastructure and on-chain governance approval, which includes authorizing permissionless staking, which is in this proposal itself, and then subsequently upgrading the token contract with a public burn mechanism, which Shelby and Ben briefly talked about earlier, enabling sequencer for interoperability fee switches. So down the line, we do believe that this infrastructure, this staking infrastructure, would pave the way for all these fees to flow back to the ZK token. So yes, it's just phase one of a broader plan.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for adding that comment. Great. Then if there are no other questions, we can move on to the next few items on our agenda. Going once, going twice. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Cliff, for joining in and for presenting the ZKnomics staking proposal. If folks have additional questions, you know the drill. Please go drop them on the forum so we can have an open discussion as this proposal develops. And yeah, we will likely be speaking about this, all of these new proposals involved in the next proposal call and get an update on the status of them then. So the next items on the agenda, they're more just kind of there's two quick just FYIs, and then one other presentation from a delegate who joined the call today. So just a few for these few quick updates. Just wanted to let you folks know that there is now a Cat Minters 101 page on the docs, so docs.zknation.io. If you go under the token program proposal section under proposal guidelines, there's a Cat Minters 101 page here. This 101 page is kind of like a starter, like how-to guide for Cat Minters, and it collects all of the information or instructions and links and everything that we have on the forum, plus some additional items as well. This is essentially kind of like the starter resource for how what folks can use to deploy their own Cat Minters, how you're able to read Cat Minter contracts, how you're able to verify Cat Minter contracts, and all of this fun stuff. So if you remember, if you've been with us since the beginning, a year ago, it's almost the 1 year anniversary, by the way, of ZKsync governance. So that's exciting. 1 year ago, you probably remember me saying, if Shelby can deploy a Cat Minter, you can deploy a Cat Minter. And this new docs page is kind of a part of the delivery on that promise. So I encourage you guys, for all the nerds out there, I highly encourage you to go check this out and also try it out as well. You can also, there's testnet information, which I'll talk about in a minute, if you don't want to deploy stuff on mainnet. But essentially, you see here what our Cat Minter is, this brief overview, the current version of the Cat Minter that we're using, which is the V2, how to deploy Cat Minter, step-by-step instructions, how to verify a Cat Minter, step-by-step instructions, how to read a Cat Minter contract. So if you are reviewing a token program proposal and you see a link to a Cat Minter contract and you click on it, this is what you'll see. This is what will come up. And it has all of these different, and you go to the contract read section, there's all these different parameters that you can look at. And I listed out what each of them mean, what information you can find of each of them, that you can query from each of them, stuff like that. Confirming the minter role on cat minters, which is another tool for delegates to be able to verify what is written in the on-chain proposal is true. So if in the proposal it says the admin of this cat minter is this address, this cat minter, or this address has the minter role on this cat minter, you can go check that. And these are instructions on how you can go verify that yourself. This talks a little bit about nested cat minters, so the child-parent cat minter relationship we've talked about in the past, how to mint from a cat minter, and a bunch of other fun stuff as well. So huge thank you to Alex from Scopelift for helping me finalize this and making sure that it is correct information that is being shared on the docs page here. So yeah, happy, really excited to finally have this live, and for you folks to be able to access. There's a lot of like learning that goes in education that we still need to do in regards to cat minters, but for those of you who are curious enough and excited and interested enough, you can go start taking a look yourself. And if you ever want to have like a really nerdy session on it, I'd be super happy to sit down and we can do some like testnet deployment as well. So yeah, just wanted to let folks know that exists and is there now. Another new docs page that we have is this for ZKGPS. ZKGPS entity is the ZKsync governance program systems entity, which you may have heard us mention before on these calls or have seen on the forum before. The ZKGPS entity is the contracting entity for any service provider or anybody who's providing a service or receiving ZK from a token program, interacts with ZKGPS in a contracting that contracts with them and also completes KYC or KYB. There was a forum post talking about this from a few months ago, but we wanted to formalize it, so we created this docs page, and we also included a link to the bylaws in case anybody was curious to see that. So just wanted to let folks know that was there as well. And yeah, so that's all I have for the docs updates. And then moving on to the last item, but not least item on our agenda, we have the delegate dashboard that Curia Labs had created and shared on the forum last week. And we have Bart here today to say a few words about the dashboard and how you can interact with it. So Bart, I'll hand over the mic to you.
Okay, thank you, Shelby. So first, hi everyone, thank you for having me. My name is Kathy and I'm part of the team at Curia Lab. So for the past few weeks, we've been head down building a public good for the community, and we're really excited to share it with you all today. It's called ZKNation Delegate Dashboard. So the goal is simple. It's to increase transparency in our governance process. It's a tool that makes it easy for everyone to see what the delegates are doing, like tracking their voting power, participation, or even their engagement in the forums. So I'll link it here below for the forum link and our live dashboard. And yeah, so but today I'm not just here to show you what we've built. I'm here to ask for your help in building what's next. So the dashboard that you see today is just our starting point. To make it truly useful for the ZK Nation, we need it to reflect ZK Nation's community values. So this brings me to two key topics on the forum. First is the delegate score. We want to co-create the score that holistically measures the delegate's contribution. But this leads to the fundamental question, what makes a great delegate in ZK Nation? In our forum post, we proposed a few starting metrics. We can start with obvious things like voting participation. Are they consistently showing up? Or we can measure things like rational submission? Are they explaining the why behind their votes to promote transparency? And forum score, are they actively shaping conversations on the proposals before the vote even happens? Well, these are just our initial ideas. The real question for all of you is, are all of these metrics, are these the right metrics? And what are we missing? How should they be weighed? We need your voice to define this. Second is activity status definitions. So right now we label delegates as active, inactive, or ghost. So basically, we base these on voting frequency, but we have to ask: are these definitions fair, and do they accurately reflect what it means to be an engaged delegate in the ecosystem? We're looking for the community's perspective to refine these labels and to make sure that they're genuinely useful. So actually, this isn't a question that we can or should answer on our own. This is a community tool, and its future depends on your input. So here my ask for all of you is to please visit the forum post we link below, and because that's where the real in-depth conversation is happening. We'd love for you to get involved by sharing your feedback on the current dashboard, jumping into the debate on what the delegate score should be, and jumping onto the debate on the delegate score, and help us improve the activity definitions. So thank you for listening. We'd love to hear your thoughts and questions, if any. And with that, we want to end with, the tool is already built, but the standards are not. So let's define them together. Thank you.
Great. Thank
So
you
that's
so
it
much.
for our presentation.
Great. Thank you so
Sorry.
much, Catherine. All good. Thank you for joining and for the presentation. Any questions for Catherine?
Shelby, can you just remind me, is this the last item on the agenda?
It is. Yep.
I feel like I know we meant to reply on the forum, but if we have like 10 minutes, I'd love to just like know what people think in conversation in response to this, since we have like a bunch of delegates on the call. And also maybe, Catherine, has this rolled out anywhere else, like in other governance systems? Do other DAOs like already have strong opinions about what, valuable work is and all that sort of stuff? And also, I know a bunch of these delegates, you guys are in other DAOs as well, so I don't know if you've already had these discussions somewhere else, if you want to share.
Maybe that I can step in. Yeah, I'm Barrett. I'm from the team as well. Yeah, basically, the idea behind like delegate score and something like this. Actually, we did work with the talent team before on the Opal community, but that's they name it differently. Delegate reputation score, which very similar to this, where it is used to have define which delegate is active and inactive, and based on that we build on top of the compensation layer for the delegates, right? So that's where it's being done. Yeah.
Great. Thanks for that. Thanks for that additional context, Varit. I think I've seen that on the Opal delegate profiles, like the it's DRS or DSR score or something like this. Rika, you had your hand up?
Yeah, thank you, Shelby. Just wanted to answer Alicia's question regarding whether we've seen this criteria in other DAOs and if this is like the right, if these are the right metrics. I'm a delegate with 404, and we're also delegates along with I see some other people here like Ivy from SeedGup, Christoph, June, in some other DAOs like in Arbitrum and Uniswap. And I would say that, yeah, like this is the criteria that we've seen used in other DAOs. Rationale, voting participation, and in my opinion, dashboard like this would be useful. It is something that I think is not yet in ZKsync, and we've seen this in a bunch of other DAOs. So I think that there is a gap that could be filled. Thank you.
Ivy, I see you also have your hand up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We've seen Curia in many other DAOs, so we are huge fans of the work they do. I do think that there's, or maybe should be, some touching point with the staking proposal, and just trying to understand how governance relates. This might be useful, just for the future of that proposal, or just maybe just thinking of what parameters do we want, to consider as delegates. Can even be regarding the community activation program. I know Curia can develop that and customize that into whatever we want to do. So I guess it's just a matter of thinking and getting a right fit for the work they can do, which I think, of course, is super beneficial, right? But yeah, huge fan of their work, to be honest.
Great. Thanks, folks, for providing the context and the feedback here on that.
Can I ask Christoph if he has an opinion? Can I just put you on the spot? I don't know, Chris, if you have an opinion.
Looks like he's here still.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, I am aware that these are popular, like this kind of delegate scoring system is popular in other DAOs. I'm never one to follow something just because it's been followed somewhere else. My experience prior to ZKsync was at ENS, and we very intentionally never had delegate scores, and that's because the requirements the metrics that I used as the indicators of what a quality delegate is are ones that I personally just don't agree with. And I told this to Mahesh from Karma in 2021 when he first brought the idea up to me. So a way that I think about it, and I just wanted to kind of share this model, is that to me, the single most important thing is the vote. That's it. And a way that I think about this is, I don't know if if anyone's ever lived in a small town like this, but my grandparents lived in a small town, and they couldn't afford, effectively the town couldn't afford firefighters all day round or all year round. So what would happen when there was a fire is that there was an alarm that you would hear basically for kilometers around the town. And if you had signed up to be a fire person, then you would just drop what you're doing, head to the fire station, and then head out. And obviously there'd be some people who would just kind of work as a fireman or woman and hang out at the fire station, but others were just out in their own lives doing their thing. But if they were needed, they would turn up. So to me, a vote is like a fire. And in my opinion, whether you kind of hang out at the fire station doing these other activities, which I would say are similar in my opinion to activity on the forum and things like that, or whether you're out, doing stuff on your project, which is not ZKsync or, whatever it is, but you just report in to vote, literally the action of voting on a proposal. I feel in my opinion, the people who are out kind of in the wild effectively, I would never want them to feel less valuable than the people who have the capacity to be available at the fire station. And for that reason, I've always been extremely hesitant to value anything other than voting when it comes to kind of the value of a delegate. Yeah, so that's just something I thought of. I want to share it because I'd be interested to know if anyone has any reactions. But yeah, that's my experience. And I have a tangible example for this, which kind of made an impression on me, which was when ENS launched, people were really active in the forum, when the token launched and the DAO launched. And sometimes we had really big delegates, at that time, Jesse Pollock was the Coinbase rep, or I think of people like Kia from Gnosis, and they were really busy, obviously, with their day jobs, and they might just come up to vote, and that was it. or they might literally just like write one sentence in the forum, like once every 12 months, and that was it. But to me, those contributions were still like equally as valuable as people who were there, like every week or every day and things like that. So I don't know, thoughts, reactions.
All right. Any reactions to
I don't know if
somewhat?
Ivy or Rika.
Yeah, Rika was first. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Shelby. Alicia, thank you for sharing that story. Super interesting. I agree with you that voting should be the most important criteria, and that is why a delegate exists in the first place. And in the dashboards and such that we've seen, usually that is the criteria that receives the most amount of power, like it is the most weighted. I will also say that I think another way of looking at rationale is that it's part of the feedback cycle to get to the vote. So like someone can pose rationale, and that is going to impact and have an effect on other delegates who might then decide how they are going to vote. So yes, like I 100% agree with you that voting is the most important criteria, but also the rationale is something that ties into the feedback loop to vote.
I don't know, Alicia, you want to answer?
No, you can go ahead. I'm conscious of the time as well, so I want to hear everyone.
No, that's cool. I think that's a very fair point, actually, and it's something that's being discussed all over governance, right? With like, what should a delegate do? So I think it's fair. I'm glad that ZK is having this conversation as well. I do think there's an intersection that many governance or delegate programs or whatever have missed. That's the intersection between community and delegates, actually, because I do believe that delegates should be representative of their communities as well. So like if they don't have the time to do rationales or feedback or whatever, that's fair because they're surely doing something valuable on their end, right? So I guess like in this example, the Curia dashboard is just a way to quantify that, right? So I always tend to think that the most important thing is just to think of what those contributions are like on a community perspective, and then we can just factor them into a dashboard or whatever and think of, you know, a reward or mechanism just to incentivize that. But I do agree that kind of the old model of compensating rationals just because they're rationals doesn't make much sense. But just calling out for that intersection, right, between community and governance, which I think they are really close, right? The end game is to have like all the stakeholders of the ZK ecosystem participating, and community is certainly one of them. It's just thinking really thoroughly of what are those contributions and what do they look like, right? But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Chris.
Yeah, I'm just like, by the way, sorry, like I couldn't talk before. Like I wanted to comment on some stuff, but I just came back home. Just regarding that, I kind of don't agree with the fact that voting is the most valuable. Voting itself, like casting a vote, is the most valuable contribution. It is a valuable contribution because it's moving things forward, but you know, incentivizing informed decision making and making sure, you know, we can do it in many different ways. Like I don't think that incentivizing comments and rationales on the forum is necessarily the right mechanism, but like somehow incentivizing those decisions are informed and are based on actual deep understanding of the question at hand, and at least trying to engage in a discussion to improve the proposals and improve the processes is important, because otherwise, like the governance is just ballot, and casting a vote takes 3 seconds, but even reading the proposal sometimes takes 2 hours, and discussing the proposal sometimes takes months, and we need to make sure that we word those that actually put the add value to the process. How to do it is a different question. What should we expect is a different question that I don't have strict answers right now, but I simply would like to point out that in my opinion, it's a bit more nuanced.
Yeah, I think similar to kind of any incentive system, which is that, or anything where there is like something to be tracked, which is that the quality of the system is like only as good as our ability to like express it as a tangible and concrete metric, which is really hard in like these nuanced situations when you, like you said, like through a conversation on a call, you might move a proposal in a totally different direction. But because it can be like a relatively dynamic thing, whereas obviously voting is super static. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I think it's interesting. Hopefully everyone on this call can just like think about that more if anyone is struck by lightning when we're going through the process of things, to say like, oh, this seems like something we could like effectively monitor. I was thinking when you were talking, I was like, how do you tell if someone like is an informed delegate voting on something as opposed to just like ticking a ballot? It's like if there was a bug in the call data. I know L2B in particular, like you guys have a team that can do like a very thorough review of things, but I guess it's like another question of what's like reasonable with regard to the diversity of stakeholders and participants who participate in governance. But I don't know, interesting convos. I feel like this is part of the fun of governance, like having this sort of conversation, but yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts and reactions here. We are up on time, but Var, did you have one last comment to share before we close it out?
Yeah, just to wrap this up, I want to save everybody time as well. Yeah, thanks a lot, Alicia, Christoph, and also Rika for sharing your thoughts. Yeah, and yeah, I think it's great to have someone in the ZKsync community start talking about this. We don't know yet is this going to be used to ever like incentivize anything, or but I think it's a good benchmark that we provide transparency and useful for not just the delegates themselves to monitor themselves, but and also for delegators to have an easier time to pick their delegate of choice. So yeah, thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, thanks to all of the presenters today, and for Ben for joining from the ZKsync Foundation. Again, if there's any questions on any of the proposals, which we have a lot right now that are live, please try to share them on the forum so that others can also see, and I'll try to get the answers to those questions as well as they come. We will see everybody again in 2 weeks, and I will have the notes and recording as always up on the forum tomorrow. Thanks everyone, and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.